Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today I have what would be the eBay wiring kit, or connector kit, I guess you would call it. Basically, when you go out there and what you're looking for is you're looking for a WeatherPak type connector that you can hook in some wires to. Obviously put a spade and a female type connector to it. Put one in one end, one in the other connector, and in multiples of one all the way up to 6. In this case, all the way up to 6. And then of course you plug them in. So you got that piece right there, this piece right here. This would be considered a 6-on-6. Stick it in there. You got a rubber gasket right there. I believe it's rubber. I have no idea really what it is. Neoprene maybe. And you snap it together and it stays connected. So why? What's the purpose here? Well, I mean, obviously you can go to junkyards, as far as like any kind of automotive junkyard, and maybe you can request some wiring connectors that way. Maybe you're specifically looking for something that will just plug right into what you're already working on, the tail light assembly, the headlight assembly, the brake sensor. I mean, all that kind of stuff, right? But when you're working on older cars like this, and my 65 F100 that's outside, you're gonna need connectors to connect on, again, lights and all kinds of accessories. But the thing is that in my case, I want them a little more modernized. I want them something that I can probably go out and find again if I need to, which is kind of why I did this. I mean, yes, again, I can go to a junkyard. I don't know. I didn't even... That's just a trip I have to make, right? I gotta figure out, okay, am I going to use GM? Am I going to use Ford? I mean, what am I going to use? Got to go down there. Got to get them. Oh, and then not only that, but most of the time the connectors are obviously already in use, meaning they have the wires already on them. They're a certain color code, etc. And if you want to take them apart, you're going to have to figure out how to get each and everything unpinned, snip off the wires, probably buy new, again, contacts, male and female contacts, etc. But, the other way, of course, is just snip the wire back, behind the connector a little bit, and then just solder and, heat shrink. That's another way you can do it. But if you just want to avoid all that shit, save your trip from a junkyard, you're, wherever you are, whether you're riding the subway for you city folks, or, just kind of sitting, lounging in your chair, and you want to go online and you want to find some connectors that could possibly work, this is one way of doing it. And this is what I did. So onto this. I can't remember the name of the seller. Don't really care. I'm not an affiliate, so I'm not going to get any money out of this. But I do want you to know what you're going to get, because what I did find is I find that when I went in there and searched for wiring connectors, there's other examples. But this seemed to be the most common one that I saw. And when I say that, you look at the pictures and you can see what the connectors look like, and there was a lot of auctions that had the same setup. Now, this one actually came with the crimpers. There was some of these auctions posts, buy it now, whatever you want to call it, that had just the connectors only. There's also different auctions or buy it nows, post, etc., that have nothing but the single wire connectors, nothing but the single and the double, blah 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 blah. Me, I went with the most versatile one, as far as like the most wide ranging, everything from a single connector to a 6 connector. Okay, because I just want to be ready for anything and everything when it comes down to that moment. Now, some people say, well, why would you change what you're doing here with your Mustang or your F100. Well, again, I want it to be modernized, number one. Number two, I'm doing basically, I guess, as some people would say, a resto mod. So it's going to be not factory in a lot of ways. I mean, if you follow along with me, you've already you can go find it, by the way. I have a video for putting LED halo headlights in my 65 F100. You need to check that out. But my point is that that's not factory, and I did manage to, use the right connectors and etc. for all of that. But I guarantee you, when I go to clean that thing up and actually put in the Speedway, yeah, right there, my Speedway Motors 22 circuit upgraded fuse box. It's going to be using the ATO fuses, right? So it's going to be upgraded. It's not going to be the old-fashioned glass fuses. It's going to be brand new wiring. It's going to be nicely labeled. It's all brand new. It's modernized for when I put the fuel injection and the overdrive and air conditioning and all that kind of stuff in there. See, I will be able to handle all that. Well, there's going to be a few things now, for example, like probably on the air conditioning compressor as one example. Since it's all factory, right now, there was no such thing as air conditioning. Not that I know of anyway, as far back as 65, at least on the F100, I don't think. But anyway, it doesn't have it, and I'm going to put it on there. And when I go to actually wire this thing up, I'm probably going to need a 2-wire connector, very likely. Maybe a single wire, depends if it grounds, through the compressor body, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has a ground wire coming out on that compressor clutch. I don't know, but if it does, then that means I would have a positive and a negative. So there you go. This is one example of where I'm going to need that. Also, I'm putting LED lights on my both my cars, actually, on the 71 and the 65 F100. So the actual 1157 light sockets and all that kind of shit, I mean, you can use that, you can make that work, but why not just have some connector like this and start off fresh with the brand new wiring that's going to be provided by that kit right there, and then just stick your spades on the one side, into your connector, and stick your females on the other side into the other connector. And then, as you can see here, you got these little neoprene rubber or whatever the heck they are. They're really soft and squishy and spongy. They slip over your wires. They go into the back side of this to keep it, weather tight. I'm going to probably be using a little bit of dielectric grease around a lot of this stuff just to make sure that it is really sealed up really well. And then, yeah, snap the connectors together. You got a nice weather tight seal. And I've actually taken a couple of these spades in here and plugged them in, and they are very tight. So that's good news. Because if they were loose, that would be bad. But no, they're actually really tight. I think this is going to work great. And this kit, again, was around $30, I think $30, $35, shipped to my door. And this one has, again, the single plug all the way up to the 6 what do you would call that, position plug or whatever. There's 6 wires that you can put in there, and it also came with this crimper. Now, I have a lot of crimpers in a way, some fancy crimpers for, I use Anderson power pole connectors a lot. I use a lot of, obviously, these kinds of connectors here. And I didn't really know what this was going to be. I've never done this before, really. So, because this was what was recommended, and I think the difference in cost was like $3 or $4 with the kit like this without it, and with this thing. So I went ahead and got it with it. If it doesn't work or whatever, that's that's something else. But if it does work, which it should, because that's what it came with, then it was well worth, in my opinion, the extra $3 or $4 to make it happen. As you can see here, it's a ratcheting style, and when you get it all the way shut and let go, it'll open back up. You can hear that thing ratcheting right now, so it stays closed. So anyway, this is basically the wiring kit that you're going to find on eBay. I did not spend 300 hours researching, but I can tell you that there are a few other options out there. But again, this one is what I find to be the absolute most popular one. And again, like I was saying from the start, when I want to come back and find another, maybe I use up all my my 4 wire connectors, right? I use all them up, and I need to get a couple more. I can go back, and I should be able to find these because again, it's quite common, or at least that's what I'm hoping for. If not, then yeah, I guess it wasn't. I guess it didn't work out like I thought. But anyway. The reason why I went with this also is that I was looking at some connectors that I was going to be doing with my Mustang on my tail light assembly, actually. And I went out and I was finding the factory Ford style connectors for $15 a piece. And to hook up my LED lights that I now have back there, I'm gonna need 3 for each side, so I'm gonna need a total of 6. So 6 times 15. I mean, that's quite a bit of money, considered this right here is $35 for the entire kit with the crimper. Okay, and yes, I did have in the back of my mind, I was just thinking, well, I don't know what kind of quality it's going to be. After all, it's all made in China. We all know that, right? And again, I try not to buy from China, but I guarantee you that those other connectors that I was going to be buying for $15 each was probably also made in China. So you got to kind of roll with the punches here and make some decisions, and that's the decision that I made. I went ahead and go with these because if I wasted $30, then maybe, I don't know if the seller would take it back or not, but I'm happy with it, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep it. One of the things that you can probably see here is that you've got these little these little locks, I think is what these are. So basically you're gonna take your wire, you're gonna slip your wire through one of these grommet thingies right here, right? And then that's what goes into the back side right there to seal it off, right? And you get it snapped in there after you put, I think the male side, I think of the pin connector, the male connector here, I think. That's the thing I don't know. There's no instructions with this, by the way. So you take that and you put one of these connectors on there. I'll figure it out one way or another. And then you actually and then you have to put like these little orange locks on there, I guess that's what they are. And they kind of go on there like this. Every single one of them has it. And as you can see, it's got a very small hole. So actually, you know what? That tells me that in this side right here, you're going to be putting the female, because these little slots right here are just big enough to allow the male to slip through there. So I guess that's how you figure it out, I guess. So anyway, there you go. That's kind of what you're getting when you buy this kit. When I opened it up, some of these neoprene rubber, whatever the hell they are, were laying all over the place because there was a little bit of room. And then on these single connectors, I don't know if you can see this here. See if I can get enough of them out of there. We go. You see that orange lock right there? Look how small and thin that is. I wouldn't be surprised that I didn't get them all. I'm pretty sure there's a few others that are probably laying over here, but there was some laying here, and there, and all that. And again, it's just because, the amount of room, it was allowed to slip up and move over to the next compartment or whatever. But, that's what happens when it's in shipping, I suppose. So, this is what you're going to get when you buy this particular style connector, again, and ratchet crimper that you're seeing online is basically this right here. So I'm really hoping that helps you out. I will say this though, I feel like these are a little too long on the female side, but then it just seems like a lot of the factory connectors that I've worked with, with on the Ford cars and GM cars and whatnot, are not quite this long. Because by the time you get, well, here's a double, right? Let's check this out here. Here's a double, and by the time you get that put in there, right? And I'm one-handed here. There we go. Snap it in. I mean, what is that? Actually, let me get a tape measure. I'm sure I'm being a little, picky now, but you're just a tad over 2 inches long there. A lot of connectors I know, that I work on with Ford EFI stuff and GM and Chrysler, that kind of stuff, is a little bit shorter than this, maybe by a half inch, half inch. So some of this stuff is kind of, long, I guess. But again, it's going to work just fine. It'll probably never really be actually noticeable. So, but nonetheless, just so you get an idea of what you're getting when you start buying this eBay kit here for wiring connectors, this is it. This is what you get. And would I buy it again? Absolutely. It seems to be a really good kit. Of course, honestly, I haven't put anything on a wire yet, but I mean, again, I have plugged these male ones into the female ones. They're nice and snug. They do not seem like they're going to be a loose connection. And once again, as I also said, I am going to be using some dielectric grease, or, well, I even got some Ford electrical grease, actually. This stuff here, right here, was in my toolbox when I used to work at the Ford dealership back in 95, 96. So that's how old that is. But that's the grease that we used to use on, connectors and whatnot, to keep them more waterproof, and make it to where it's a little bit easier to open and shut, and to keep the connectors and whatnot from actually corroding over time. So that's what I'll be doing. Hope that this helps you out somehow, because again, I went looking online for this particular thing as far as a video, YouTube, Rumble, whatever. Nobody has anything over on Rumble, although it's getting better. It's getting better, guys, and hopefully my stuff will actually start standing out, because I'm doing things and others are not. But I'm putting this out on every platform that I possibly can, just to get a little bit of awareness to everybody. Not necessarily I want to be famous. That's not my goal. My goal is to help you help yourself in knowing what you're getting when you buy something, or when you work on something, or whatever. I mean, that's all I'm trying to do here, is just help people to understand, a product or a procedure or whatever that might help you out somehow. Because, what I've noticed, and here we go, me on a tangent again, is that, a lot of, especially young boys out there, are not being taught shit. They're just hanging out on their phone, which is, I guess, how they're going to find this. And, they don't have fathers. They don't have guidance. They have nothing. They don't know how to be productive or any of that, really. I mean, I'm not saying that's all of you, okay? What I am saying, though, is that is unfortunately what I see. And I see it in the workplace, or the places that I work, that my sons work, my friends who have businesses, people that come there to work. They've never been taught anything other than how to look at a smartphone, play a video game, and that's it. They don't know how to count change anymore. They don't know how to, build a car anymore. It's, in my opinion, pretty sad, because at the end of your life, you're going to look back and you're just going to say, well, shit, I didn't do a goddamn thing. And that's right, you didn't. So I'm hoping that this inspires and motivates and helps people to understand what they're buying, what they're getting, what they need to be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, etc., 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 by watching all this stuff as information for you to, check it out from my experience anyway. So no big deal, but do like and subscribe, because you're going to find all kinds of things that I'm putting out here. And yes, it's going to have tangents and me just talking about absolute nothing, sweet nothing, and bad nothings, and whatever the hell you want to say. Maybe that will be part of my signature calling. I don't know. Who cares? But anyway, hope you got a little value out of this. Like, subscribe, Rumble, of course, because Rumble's coming up. And come back for more. Always going to have more for you.